Hey, what's up guys? This is Chet Dono with Jonathan Outdoors, and as you can see behind me, I have a little bit of a clearing going on. We're still inside of the woods, but the edge of the field is just about 20 feet over there to that way, and I've got some clover that I've frost seeded in. Today, this video is going to be about how to make a kill plot or a small food plot inside of the woods without any tractors or implements to speak of. So the step-by-step process to setting up a kill plot is this. First thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get rid of the existing grass or flora that's found in that spot. This can involve large trees. If you want to do it in the middle of the woods, make sure when you do this you're not cutting down good vegetation. I mean, if that's all there is, then maybe that's what you have to do to get any kind of food plot or anything like that. But if you've got great trees and stuff, don't go cutting them down. I'd hate to see that. If you've got a bunch of black walnuts and stuff that are 10 years old, God forbid, do not go in there and start ringing them or cutting them down. Be able to identify your trees, and if not, ask a forester or ask a friend that knows and can identify trees and wild vegetation and things like that, because you don't want to be cutting down a lot of native good stuff. Okay, so but if it's mostly just brush, it's like an invasive or something like that, or you've got a lot of these trees and they're not very old, you can go ahead and you can get those cut out of there, a lot of the brush cut, and then you want to either go, like I said, you can use a lot of people use a brush hog, but if you don't have a means for that, you can rent a DR brush mower. That's what I have, and that works really well for the woods. It cuts down small saplings and stuff like that. If you don't have access to that, you can use a lawn mower, but of course if you've already got pretty established trees and bushes and stuff like that, you're going to tear it up real fast. So that brings me to the best way to do this, and that's to use chemicals. I'm going to let you do your own research on that. There's a lot of good videos on YouTube for what can kill certain grasses. You're going to need to identify what you have there, and that way you can figure out what you're going to want to kill. If it's a bunch of like brush and poison ivy and stuff, that's going to include a certain particular type of herbicide. So you're going to want to do your research on that. You're going to want to find a herbicide that's going to kill pretty much everything. A lot of people use glyphosate, or aka Roundup. It's not real good for bees and things like that. I try to stay away from it unless I really need to. But if you have a small kill plot or something like that, as long as you're using the directions, you're following the label to the T, you're fine. Want to use a whole bunch of it and just spray your whole field down and not read the directions. You want to go by the directions, okay? So use your discretion on that. Go by the label, etc., etc. I can't stress that enough. So anyway, that is the best way to get rid of all the herbaceous things that are in your food plot or in your kill plot in your area that you want to plant. So you're going to want to go and you're going to want to basically burn those with those chemicals, and that's where your backpack sprayer is going to be priceless. So you didn't do that a couple weeks before you're going to plant. Okay, you're going to want to go back out there and check it, and everything should be dead. If it's not, you can go ahead and you can do it one more time over, and then you're going to check back in about a week and everything should be pretty well gone. Okay, so then you should have basically bare earth and maybe some leaf matter and things like that. Now you're going to want to do this in a wide open spot, obviously. If there's a bunch of trees and stuff, you're going to have to find something that's really shade tolerant. And I'd say most of the things that are used for food plot need at least 4 or 5 hours of sun. So you're going to need some place that doesn't have a whole bunch it's going to have to be some kind of opening, whether it's an old logging road or something like that. It's going to have some kind of opening. So once you've done that and you've got bare earth and you've got just bare earth, leaf matter, dead leaf, dead dead plants and things like that's all over the ground, okay, that's going to be kind of like a protection for your new seeds, okay? So if you're doing, say, if you want something in the early spring, okay, you want to plant something in the early spring, a good thing to plant is clover, because you can actually frost seed that in. If you got a couple frosts left or even a couple big rains, you can actually do what I just said and just get rid of that vegetation, and then you can use a seed dispenser or even your hand, and you can just frost seed that out. I frost seeded a more open area and it's done really well. And then I actually went back, because I have been cutting it with a 0-turn mower on high, and I went back and I mowed over that a couple weeks of growth, after the clover was about 4 or 5 inches tall, and I killed a lot of them grasses out there, and it's came back even thicker. And you know, I haven't used any more chemicals on that yet, but I am going to reach the point where there's going to be so much grasses and other stuff in there that I'm going to have to spray that clover with something. I haven't reached that point yet, but it is starting to get things like dandelions and stuff that are, you know, pushing in there and stuff. But a lot of that stuff, you got to be careful, because deer, you know, it might be a weed and it might not be clover what you want, but it may be something that deer really like. So again, I can't stress it enough. Do your research and know what you got. Know your plants that are in your field. That is indispensable in this. You know, you don't want to kill something that deer love, right? So you can frost seed that clover in there, and it should grow up very well. So there's another thing you can do. So for the kill plots and things like that, once you've got your bare earth, you can put those in there, whatever the packaging describes for the certain month or whatever in your area. Remember, we got zones, right? Where, depending on where you live, you might live in a particular zone, and that bag should tell you, or research should tell you, when you're going to want to plant certain things. In my area, clover can be planted fairly early, and it's pretty hardy around here. It grows just well, and I think a lot of areas are the same way. So after you've got your foods, your seeds are out, and your food plot has come up, or your kill plot has come up, and it has, you know, what you've planted up there, it's gotten some good growth. That's when you're going to want to watch it, and that's when you're going to want to identify bad invasive things that are coming up into that food plot that you don't want in there. And that's when you're going to have to do your research on what to spray without killing your food plot, okay? So once you've done that and your food plot is established and you've sprayed what you need to get rid of the things that you don't want, you're ready to go. You just got to watch it. You got to identify where those bucks are coming in, or where those does are coming in, or whatever it is that you're hunting. So the next thing is just putting up cameras and see what you got going on, see if anything's hitting your food plots and things like that, and doing your scouting. Then you can go from there as far as where you want to put your stand locations. A lot of kill plots that I do are boomerang shaped. That means if a buck is in one area of the field, or a doe is in one area of the field, then I can be, you know, especially if there's a whole bunch of deer and they got all these eyes, right? I'm on the other side and I got to stand on the other side, and I can basically, you know, have these deer in this field and still be able to be, you know, unseen until they come around, and they can still be feeding, and I can still enter my stand or whatever, or exit my stand without them actually being able to see me, and I still have some cover and whatnot. So there's so much stuff that goes into this, guys. I encourage you to do a lot more research. There's so many good videos on it though, but there you go. If you don't have all the implements and things,